culture that is overly focused on talent and ability, and it can times forget the importance of inspiration to know. So according to an article written by Harvard Business Review on November 11 by Scott Kaufman, research shows that inspiration can be activated, captured, manipulated, and is a major effect on the importance of happiness and motivation in our lives. I'm going to ask this question to you guys. What would you dare to dream if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you actually go out and do? It's a pretty powerful question when you start thinking about it, if you didn't have to worry about anything. Well, when I was asking myself this, I think that it started becoming more important to me based on current events. We'll say, how much power can you get? What inspiration? Does it even make a difference in our daily lives? How does it make that difference? And why is it important, especially as we have some of the unrest we currently have? And that's why it became a topic for me personally, and why it was such an important item. So there's three types of inspiration. Evocation, which is inspiration that happens without any intention, is spontaneous. Something happens and just, there you go. It's right there for you. Transcendence is clarity, awareness of a situation and the new possibilities. Approach, and that is you just putting a new idea that was already there just into vision or action. I'm going to give you, the reason why I gave you this, because what I'm going to show you now is 4 examples of throughout history. And the truth is how do we really become inspired unless we know more about the past to be better prepared for the future? And again, it goes back to these ideas that without these topics, you cannot actually be engaged in society without having an inspiration. It actually has makes you have a better well-being. You actually produce better goals. You are happier and you're more creative. And those are all research studies done in the AMA's psychological journals by Thrush Wilson. So first example, not a bad example. So Catherine, the political examples, Frances Perkins, 1933 to 1945, first woman ever fought to establish minimum wage, over 40-hour work week, in child labor. Not bad for the first woman to do something as such. So next time you don't think that there's somebody out there that helped break those ceilings for us or even started things, there really is. There's motivation, there's inspiration out there. Of course, Supreme Court Justice, one of the 4 women who's ever served, Ruth Bader, inspiration. Voting, well, without somebody to go out there and start fighting for rights and deciding she wasn't going to pay the fine, and then 20 years later, women are voting because of that, the next thing happened. I mean, there's a lot of things in between, but without the first inspiration, the motivation to do something, because inspiration is the act of being inspired and then doing an action. These women, specifically, and this women was that they didn't let something stand in the way, they wanted something, to get motivated, and now we have this, which is fourth over. It's actually ages 16 all the way through 70 in India who are out there fighting for women's rights, which we know without the ones before you, you can't really move forward. You can't forget your history as well. Science example, Katherine Johnson, first African-American woman to actually desegregate Western Virginia College. She then, by 18, had a PhD in mathematics and French. She then went on to land the Apollo 11 moon mission, and she was one of the major factors in the math for the program. So they actually used her, as they say, as a human computer. Not bad for 1960s, and when women were more in the kitchen, we'll say, than in the science field. Olivia Hausling, this is just recent, as of last year, 16-year-old. She did not let the idea of her age or her gender or the fact, that she hadn't even finished high school yet, create something that the Ebola test that does not even have to be refrigerated or heated, and which means it can go into third world countries and we can get better detection quicker as well in emergency situations. Last is military. I bring this up because that's one of those areas that for me it's an inspiration, because my family is a military family. I didn't go that way, but we have somebody in every branch. And Jacqueline Cochran is a WASP, which was a wartime Air Force service pilot. And they were actually a group of women who were the first pilots that ever fly for the military back in the 40s. And most people don't actually know much about them, but they were the first. They were the ones who paved the way. And in the military, this is actually our first four-star female general, Anne Hardway. And that was back in 2008. She went ahead and she went on to serve until 2012. Studies show you have to find inspiration in order to be successful in life. Inspiration creates a better tomorrow. It affects our creativity, positivity, progress toward goals, and increases well-being. Like I'm going to reiterate, it's the act of actually doing something. You actually have to act if you're inspired, otherwise you are not. So my question then is, in this call to action, you actually have to have a call to action. So what is yours? Recognize the importance of being inspired? That's the one. Look to your answer and see what will motivate you. And then ask yourself the same question. What would you do? What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you go out there and do? What slide would you be on so that you can have somebody else be on the other? That's the question. That's your call to action. Find what works for you. And then go out there and do it. Conclusion, what are you going to dream of? What's going to be your call to action to make this a better tomorrow? Because studies have proven that if you actually find that inspiration and motivation, it will work.